Thank you all so much. Thank you, Mr. Harris and Kadambari Muttu. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the second speaker of the day is here, and he's going to talk on holistic development of children. Mr. Chetan Jaiswal of My Pigu. Ladies and gentlemen, the second speaker has been postponed after the panel. So we have our first panel of the day, which focuses on early childhood, developing a cultural identity, how to cope with diversities in kindergarten. Chairing this session is Mr. Saad Seth. Mr. Saad joined Legacy School as the director in August 2009 and was personally vested in ensuring the transition of the school from Vidyaniketan Academy to Legacy School. In 2010, under his able stewardship, enrollment with the school increased by 62% in the first year. Legacy School received the International School Award 2014 to 2017 from British Council for outstanding development of international learning in the curriculum. Well, ladies and gentlemen, can we all put our hands together for the first panel of the day? Hazel Shiromani, Preetham Agarwal, and Mr. Vishwanath. Ladies and gentlemen, kindly note, after the panel discussion, the floor will be open for questions.
Good afternoon, and on behalf of all the panel members, we'd like to extend our gratitude to Education Today for having us here to share our experiences and our insights with all you leaders. The topic for our discussion today is developing a cultural identity and how are leaders coping with sustaining the culture within the organization and institutions given the diversity that is prevalent in preschools today. Technology is fantastic when it works. One more. Thank you. I'd like to begin by quickly introducing the panel members and allowing them to take a moment to introduce themselves. On the panel, we have Ms. Hazel Siramoni, who's the Managing Director of Maple Bay, India. We have Mr. Vishwanath K, who's the Group COO of Learning Edge India Private Limited, that also has the Little Ellie and the Glentree Academy brands. We also have Mr. Prithvi Bandwasi, who's the founding director of Roots Institution. They have Roots Montessori as well as Roots 360, which is a Montessori elementary and a training institute. Mr. Prithvi is also the secretary of the Karnataka Council of Preschools. We also are privileged to have Mr. Preetham Agarwal, who is the founder director for Hello Kids Preschool, as well as Riverstone, which are a group of K12 schools. A warm welcome to you, and I'll allow you a minute to please introduce yourselves.
A very good afternoon to everybody here. It's absolutely lovely to be among your peers. I'm Hazel Siromani, Managing Director of Maple Bay, which is a Canadian preschool and elementary program operating in 15 countries around the world. In India, we've been in existence for 13 years now, and it's been an incredible journey so far. I'm a clinical psychologist, so every single day, which is kind of wonderful to be able to utilize your learning of whatever you learned in the classroom in your life. And it's a joy to be here. Thank you.
Good afternoon to all of you here. It's indeed an opportunity to be a part of this panel today. Incidentally, I have been a very late entrant into the field of education, having spent 20 years of my career with corporates at various international locations. For me, education came more as a choice, not as an option. I have been involved for the last 7-8 years with the K12 segment and probably with the preschools. My current assignment is with Learning Edge Private Limited. It's a company that runs the Little Lily brand of preschools. We have also now entered the K12 space with the Glentree Academy. There are two new verticals that we have just got into. One is the corporate daycare or the early child care, what we call as a corporate daycare vertical. We also realize that there's a huge gap as we start institutions, the need for good teachers. Letter is one of our latest initiatives, which aims at training teachers. It's an academy for preschool and primary school teachers. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Very nice to be amid all of you. By the end of the evening, I would like to take a lot of learning back home and back to our schools and our teachers. I am Prithvi Banwasi, started as an event manager, was into advertising, got into theater, a little bit of movies, and the passion was, I did my MA in child mental health and started a Montessori school way back in 2004. Slowly grew to about 9 branches of Montessori schools across Bangalore, 1 teacher training center, 1 special children's school, and 1 primary school. The primary school is like a Gurukul. We do not have table and chairs. We do not announce exams to parents. We have a lot of music, art, theater, and sports as part of the curriculum. And we see a lot of development happening with the children. And of course, the parents seem to understand that there's a lot of learning in that. It's a pleasure for all of you to visit the school whenever you want. It's on Kanakpura Road near Shobha Forest View. Thank you.
A very good afternoon to everyone. Myself Preetham Agarwal. I started this preschool journey almost 11 years back. Started one school in north of Bangalore. Having experience as a teacher, caretaker, cleaner, driver, you can talk about anything in terms of starting of a preschool. And now it caters to around 430 schools across India. And we recently started a K12 school called Riverstone International School. And here to learn a lot from you all. And thank you and welcoming to the session which Sood will take care of it. Thank you.
Thank you to all of you for making the introductions. We'll get started. So, as you know, India holds an important place in the global education industry. The education sector in India is poised to witness major growth in the years to come. India will have the largest tertiary age population by 2020. Currently, the preschool segment only accounts for about 1/6 of the market size. In the financial year 2015-16, the education market was worth about US $100 billion and is expected to reach about US $180 billion. Thank you. So we're anticipated to reach about 180 billion by 2020. The largest growth is anticipated to be in the K-12 sector, which is looking at a growth of about 52%. In the education sector, across the different age groups, but also in preschool, the challenges that we're currently facing are access and participation, quality issues, equity and access, regulation and monitoring, affordability, leadership and management, sustaining philosophy and embedding culture across organizations, and developing cultures where institutions become learning organizations and there's a culture of learning that permeates the organization. We're looking at the learning environments, the kind of learning spaces that we design for children. We're looking at spaces not just as classrooms, but Do they have lung spaces? Do they have breathing spaces? Do they have places to play? Are we looking at not just the cognitive development, but the other aspects of their development as well? We're talking about pedagogy. We're talking about curriculum. We have a plethora of curriculum out today. And finding what makes sense to you as an institution, as well as for your families and your children, is extremely important. And how do you as a leader align your school's philosophy and culture with the curriculum you offer, ultimately leading to the child benefiting? Sorry, I'm unable to see the slides back there. The other areas that we're also facing a challenge with is in finding trained and skilled teachers. It's a massive challenge that all of us as educators face. The other areas we're finding a challenge with is professional development, and what professional development is relevant to your organization and relevant to your teachers, and how does that ultimately impact the children in the classroom. We're looking at global competition. Today, India is not the only place where teachers are scarce to come by. It's a global shortage, and you're finding people from across the world looking at teachers and having teachers move globally, not just within India. The challenges also exist with retention and then fair compensation in sustaining that culture in an organization. And regulation, of course, is another monster in itself. So given the challenges that are there before all of you as school leaders, we're going to ask the panelists to share their insights on 3 particular areas. Could we move on, please? Thank you. So Peter Drucker has a statement which says, "Culture eats strategy for breakfast." What we'd like to know from the panel members, cultural diversity poses a pedagogical and social challenge to educators. Teaching effectively in culturally diverse classrooms means using culturally sensitive strategies and content to ensure equitable opportunities for academic success, for personal development, as well as individual fulfillment, and ensuring that this is made accessible to all children, irrespective of their cultural background. We'll discuss 3 topics today. The first one being, how do each of you as leaders, within the context of your organization as well as your schools, define culture? And the second part of that question is, what does diversity mean in the context of your organization? I'll begin with Hazel and give her the opportunity to first share her thoughts.
The topic is very interesting. Culture, culture identity, cultural diversity. It made me think a lot when this topic came across for the panel and to be part of it, because it really initiated a lot of deep thinking into what truly does it mean, because as a country we really talk about diversity constantly in our jargon every single day. And I kind of looked at it and felt both the opportunity as well as a challenge. The opportunity is tremendous that our classrooms today are presenting to us an opportunity to socially engage our children in a culturally diverse environment. Our classrooms are very rich and very early on. A lot of us here today on the panel are from the preschool segment largely, but most of us have also ventured into higher levels of learning as well. But as early on, and the challenge that was presented as part of the topic was, how do you, engage positively with the cultural diversity that's happening? I was very glad that Acharyaji today in the morning talked about social achievement. And that is something very, very critical for us today. We may talk about our curriculum, pedagogy, we talk all those aspects in terms of pure academic. But very, very important is the sensitivity, because our classrooms are very heterogeneous. Children are coming from various mixed backgrounds. In Maple Bear, we very quickly realized that a few years ago, and even though it's a completely Canadian early childhood education, but we realized that we had an opportunity here in India to be able to take it further up, where we kind of made it as part of our culture that we need to celebrate our diversity. And very much it's in an immersion kind of approach, where within the classroom calendar or the whole year academic calendar, there is a lot of emphasis placed in terms of celebrating the cultural diversity. Culture as a word is all about attitudes, beliefs, religious differences, customs. It's all about integrated within that word itself. And sensitivity there is very much aspect of it. So for us, one of the things that we made it integral part of was in the training, the teacher training, because it's very important to sensitize them as well. And then the stakeholder, the other stakeholder is the parent aspect. So within Maple Bear, early on, years ago, it became a part of our culture, ethos, that we had to integrate and recognize. So as I said, it has presented both as an opportunity and as well as a challenge, because sometimes there are very hard, strong beliefs, more so from adults, not so much as children. Children are a delight. They don't come with any of those kind of backgrounds. But how do you integrate and sensitize? And it's been an incredible journey for us, and that's something I cherish as an educationist, because it has worked quite well.
Mr. Vishwanath, please. If I could kindly remind the panel members, just for the paucity of time, if you could stay to 3 minutes, please. Thank you.
Before I get into the culture of how Little Lily has been able to adapt diversity, respect diversity in our preschools, I think it is apt for us to first try and understand what we mean by diversity today. I think we are getting more and more pluralistic. I think it's all about the fundamentals of tolerance and equality, the acceptance that, probably there are many ways to do the same thing. It is about finding difference and similarity. We eat, we pray, we probably dress, we celebrate, but probably we do that differently. So I think it is about finding the similarity in those differences, and that is where the tolerance or the concept of equality steps in. I would like to also throw one point here with regard to diversity. I think as we are talking about becoming global citizens, I think on the other side, we are also finding that cultural diversity is coming more and more within the families, with mixed families, mixed parents, for children to understand that identity, where they lean. So it's become a very important part of how this concern is to be addressed, in order to ensure that at some point of time, when the cognitive skills develop and when we start thinking on our own, we avoid getting radical on our thought processes. For me, I think when I look at Little Lily and the kind of program, we believe that multicultural education is not about costumes alone, not about festivals alone, not about sweets. It's not a lesson plan. It's not a curriculum. It's basically understanding that I have a background. What is it? Others have a background. What is it? And how do I accept it? We have been trying to build that, and how we have built it into our system is to make our entire culture very permeable. It's about being a heterogeneous mixture. You put everything into the pot. It melts, but the identity remains. This is the only way we are able to ensure that our parents, our stakeholders, the children, they maintain their identity, yet they are part of the homogeneous society. We've been trying to do that, build it into our curriculum, and some of the measures, as Ms. Hazel was speaking, is very similar to what we do. Yes, there is a very, very definite attempt to build this as a part of our curriculum, our pedagogy. We also try largely to ensure that there is a fair degree